And I'm Five Shot. I'm reporting on the Bamboozled again news network. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Today is a monumentous day. Uh, Sitting in the car is a little hot, so I don't know how long I'll be on here. But this video will just be about striving for in spite of opposition. Um, Technically, the opposition, if you look at it without taking your personal feelings out of it, the opposition is necessary to give you the necessary strength to force to break through to the next level. You know what I mean? Like, let's say a little baby, they try to get up, walk, fall down, because their legs aren't strong enough. But as they keep trying, they build up the proper muscle and bone endurance to be able to walk. It's the same principle. I'm finding the ability to take everyday life stuff and put a spiritual component on it to deal with whatever it is I'm trying to do or whatever it is that I'm facing. The Bible talks about, making analogies about the ant being a steward and preparing in its due season. You understand me? I hope y'all see my shout out to my man Blue Hundo. I got my Bamboozled again shirts made. Yes, indeed, show you right. Um, I am to some degree mentally, I'm kind of rigid, but I'm also open-minded to find various avenues to, generate finance for the purpose. Hey, what's up? What's going on with the CEO, King? What's going on with you, bro? In an effort to what is my greatest component or desire, which is as best as you can help it in this matrix, freedom, and to live life on my own terms without, let's say, entities or people being able to impose themselves on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tonight I'll be, after the Sabbath, as I observe it, I'll be working on an online store. And like I said, this is just about, striving forward. In and of myself, I'm not necessarily entrepreneurial. I'm more of the visionary type, right? But if getting to the vision requires me to be entrepreneurial, then I'm adaptive enough to learn things or utilize, people who may be more gifted in a certain area to learn from them, to hone that skill, to manifest the vision under the appointed time and the will of the Most High. So I'm going for the gusto. There are multiple things I need to accomplish, and normally when it's a new season in life, it's kind of hard for me to tell spiritually where I'm at with it. Should I go? Should I fire? But I don't feel like, say, spiritually, right? It'd be unwise to plant a seed in the winter. That's unwise. You know what I'm saying? But being that it is, let's say, summer, and I've been planting seeds and tilling the ground and mulching it, in the fall seasons of my life, I'm ready to prune and I'm ready to harvest. You know what I mean? Which during harvest season, it requires more work. You know what I mean? Oh, but man, CEO can't say like one of them dudes off the PJs. Actually, my man, Eshore Rig, you can check him out on here. He's been rapping for 20 years. We're from the same hometown, right? And he was well versed with merch, but he had actually posted the likeness of this picture on a post on Facebook. And it had me tripping for it just spoke to me. It had me tripping for like 10 minutes. I just couldn't get it. You know what I mean? I just couldn't get right because this picture is symbolic of the plight, I would say, of everybody, but more so the Negro in America. Like with me, the catalyst for my wisdom was actually being bamboozled in the very same industries and areas that are now national news in these, janky recovery programs, the church house. I had to go through that to become who I am now with the prerequisite experience and vision. You understand me? To then, how they say your purpose is tied to your pain. And at the time, it made no sense. Why do I keep getting bamboozled? I've always been intellectually smart. At least that's what people tell me, right? But intelligence is one thing. Wisdom, just like when we look at the scriptures, people had to be prepared to do certain stuff. There was a certain gestation period. You just can't get caught and then go do it. Your character, your mentality. One component I see is a total understanding and reliance on the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And when I've made efforts to strive in certain areas, they haven't worked right because it wasn't meant to work, because he was taking me through a process of a greater level of faith and a greater level of reliance. So I'm a change, like, how they say Pharaoh he calls Pharaoh to harden his heart, right? So he caused me to leave my old job because my spirit wasn't feeling. My mind telling me go in there. My spirit like, nah, we ain't doing that. Almost like when Paul said he went somewhere and the Holy Spirit wouldn't allow him to speak. Because now you're on deck, right? Now there's a fear of losing outward progress. So I have to show you I'll sustain you. You know what I'm saying? And then the progress can't be the end goal be all. You see what I'm saying? It has to be a reliance on me no matter what season of life or whatever the circumstances are. So I ended up having to assume more financial responsibility after leaving a job. And it was kind of tight, but I always had what I needed. Now I had the requisite experience. So now there's no fear of when I release you to do something again. You're not fearful or second guessing because I've walked you through multiple situations where if it hadn't been for me, you'd have fell apart and then all your enemies would have gloated over you. And then you've been just like the man on the picture, but that ain't been the case. Now, of course, you know, as we go forward in time, let's say with, you know, budget cuts, wars, rumors of wars, the energy bungee cord that the political, I guess, apparatus has us in. You think it's over? Oh, now we're going to ceasefire. Oh, now we're going to bomb again. Or budget cuts. No, we're not going to do that. I don't pay that no mind. This reminds me of the kind of the scripture, and I'm paraphrasing, where, hey, what's up, Sir Stoic? I was saying y'all got to roll a little bit. And what he called, I think it was the prophet, and he basically told him to buy some land, overpay for it on the border of a war, which makes no economic sense. So typically, for me, I can only speak for myself, my personal experience, share it with y'all, and then y'all gauge it however y'all gauge it, right? Along this journey of sobriety, a little over 4 years, he's routinely moved me in a space to have me do something that defies logic. So now I can take risks. You see what I'm saying? When called to do so. I can branch off from you know, the group, whatever you want to call that. Because to me, groupthink and the clusters of herd mentality, let's say in church or camps, socially, like on your job site, they're all being funneled or they're all believing whatever the society tell them to believe. That's why in the society, you'll notice that independent thought, creativity is kind of curtailed unless the independent thought or creativity is on the left-hand side of things. That's why you get, you know, blackballed or you know, the kind of slander and accuse and backbiting all this here, which don't affect me not now, nada. Because from where I stand at now, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, why would I be upset about some people that I don't desire to emulate or be like have an opinion of me? When you have whatever opinion people tell you to have. And I guess we've all been, you know, in whatever space we've in. But as I've grown and evolved through hardship, through suffering, through numerous amount of delays on practical goals and ideas, right? All that has kind of been purged out of me. All I'm concerned with at this point, and this got home through after leaving the job, where he was dealing with my will. And again, like I say, the tricky part is my will seemed decent, and it is. The thing is, if you're always operating on your will, you'll start leaning to your own understanding. I gotta get you out of that. So I'm gonna put you in situations where you can't think your way out of it. That's what caused me to start fasting regularly and a more fervent prayer life, because now I inherently understand if I don't seek the Most High, which has been upholding me all since I've been on earth, I'm done for. You see what I'm saying? So my current situation has been stabilized, you know what I mean? But I believe now it's time for what the Most High has downloaded into me to be manifest openly. You know what I'm saying? Which is, my demographic is for the downtrodden, the bamboozled, the led astray, those who have been run amok. That's why I talk about modern dating, because modern dating is a bamboozlement. That's why I talk about the false paradigm of politics. That's bamboozlement. Most, darn near everything in the world, the educational system is bamboozlement. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's say like I'm in my 40s, my grandparents might have had, a third grade education, but they were well versed in living life. Now everyone's educated, but can't function. It's so amazing and paradoxical to me, right? How you have mental health therapists who advise other people about how to deal with their mental health, but they can't effectively deal with their own mental health. If it's so great, why don't you practice it? Just like your preacher man. He may, preach the word, but as soon as he's off the pulpit, you don't see him living none of the stuff he preaching. That's bamboozlement. A key component of bamboozlement is the wordplay. But I noticed with me personally, the more I've grown involved, can become more responsible, more submitted to the Most High, the less I talk. Outside of work and on here, I barely, or to my child or family, I barely even say anything because I don't want to talk. I want to put in the work. I become addicted to putting in the work. What else am I going to do with my time? Living a purpose-filled life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the things of the world, when I look back on it, let's say womanizing, drug use, partying, carousing and whatnot, there's no way possible for me to do it now. My mind and spirit are different because it doesn't, it's not purposeful. A lot of times I'm not necessarily antisocial. I just don't find socializing with people in general purposeful. I'm all about purpose. And if it ain't no purpose involved, what is the purpose for me now? As a late bloomer, attempting to, I don't want to say make up for lost time, but just trying to catch on and do my due diligence. I haven't used that word in a while. To make sure I'm stewarding my life. And like the parable of when the master gave the three, servants the talents. Now, honestly, me, had I been the servant he gave the one to, I'd have actually thought I was doing the right thing and buried it. Not understanding whatever I'm given, I'm to maximize it, no matter what my personal situation is. And that's kind of what got home because I, for a while didn't have a license, job history, so on and so forth. So instead of looking at what I don't have, let me look at what I do have and utilize that to get the ball rolling, which is typically my ability to think outside the box, my ability to live a minimalistic lifestyle. So typically I can do more with less. My ability to see the good common traits of others and encourage them, or in the space of my man making this shirt, we've been building, chopping up for a while. His skill set actually helped birth my vision. You see what I'm saying? And with, whatever with the world being uncertain and the rhetoric online becoming more detestable by the minute, I know we've all probably got some scars. Hey, what's going on, Mark Franco? What's happening? I appreciate you being here. I know we all, just life gonna present that anyway. And sometimes you gotta lick your wounds. Sometimes, and I got this from living in Baltimore, where I've seen brothers but not actually seen them get shot, but hear about them getting shot. And as soon as they get out the hospital, they're back on the block doing what they're doing. There's no deterrent. I have to do this, no matter what my state is. That's why now I can understand the older black men logic with mental health. Their job with mental health was go to work. Oh, my wife died. Go to work. Wait, which kind of, I get it and don't get it at the same time. But now I do get it in this respect, that no matter what happens, I still got to do what I'm required to do, even if I don't feel like doing it. Because when I stop doing that, everything stops. I owe this to me. And own it to me, it can then benefit loved ones, friends, family, so on and so forth. Actually, I'm very, how would I word it? I'm very a stickler about my time and my energy. And it's selfish, right? But I'm being selfish in this respect to get myself to a point where I can be giving unselfishly, such as, towards my family, friends, loved ones who have been, key components along my journey. You know what I'm saying, me? I want to be able to bless those that have blessed me. And if you're a real one, you ain't never gonna forget, how the Most High put certain people in your life to give you just enough information or plant the seed. Say one man plant, one man water, y'all get an increase. I feel as though it's time to blossom. I caught one time, this was in the early stages of my addiction, trying to get clean and all that, right? And it wasn't a whole lot of shaking, a whole lot of bamboozlement going on, and a whole lot of disappointment, you understand me, for years on end. But period, I would get just enough to give me some insight to keep me along. So I caught some clip, or I read, I don't know what it was, but it was talking about like a bonsai tree, if I had that correct. Now, it's either a bonsai tree or some other type of tree. But when you plant this particular tree, it might not crack the ground for 2 years. But once it cracks the ground, it grows something like 9 feet in like 4 days. I'm paraphrasing, right? And when I read that, I was like, oh, snap, because I've been planted for a minute now. But once and it somehow I spiritually knew that was for me. I'm a firm believer. You may not know the truth, But if you're generally seeking the truth, you should know the truth when you hear it, or a truth that applies to you at that time. So I said, yo, that's for me, yo. And I got a cracking maybe a couple years ago. Then I got pruned. Let's say the environment wasn't conducive for growth, outward growth. But, say typically if there's a drought, the tree doesn't grow, but the roots go deeper to access the water that might not be right there on the level, or what they call them, like the water wells or whatever the case may be. So even though I wasn't growing outwardly the way I wanted to, or had the intelligence to, my roots were growing deeper. You understand me? So now let's say a financial breakthrough, or what, any, from my own land, stuff like that, right? I'll always remember the struggle, and it'll keep me humble. Of course, I'm always mindful to stay humble anyway, especially in this culture where there are times where I would like to vindicate myself or take vengeance on the bamboozlers, you know what I mean? But that's above my pay grade. By me doing what I'm doing, it's a proxy war against the bamboozlers anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just you having the light you have in your shore shines a light on the wickedness of everybody else. So a whole lot of time, you ain't even gotta say nothing. Just be you. Just live the way you've been living and looking to strive and all that there. You'll catch enemies by default, which is actually a good thing. That lets you know you on the right path. You can't judge just by what you see. You have to judge it, for me, by other components and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like the amount of people and the people close to you that switch up on you. You know what I mean? Out of nowhere. Because the world loves its own. You know what I'm saying? So if you're, just going through life, striving spiritually, inwardly, outwardly, and you start noticing the switch up gang, or let's say the relationship that was decent, and I know a plethora of brothers like this, where they might, let's say they were smoking weed, they in the streets, right? Everything copacetic. And as soon as they might say, oh man, I'm going to church, or I'm going to read, now all of a sudden, the dynamic in their relationship has changed. They're like, huh? I remember one time I had a young homie. This was years ago. He was a young stunner, right? But he was with an older woman. And she taking care of him, buy him clothes, buy him a game. He said everything was cool. Then he said, yo, man, Shoutout taking care of me. Yo, let me help her out. He said he went and got a job. He said, and then now all of a sudden they fussing. So he describing this to me. He like, yo, that's crazy, yo. I don't understand it. And you're not going to understand it because there's a dark spiritual psychology involved. I'm in a better position to help you, but now you're mad at me. Why? Because just like the adversary or these social groupings, they'll love bomb you, and they'll provide, the rudiments of this world, right, to chime you in, but they don't want you to evolve because deep down they know they ain't nothing. So they figure, since they know who they truly are, and you don't know that, if you evolve, you'll see me for who I am, and you'll leave me. That's why when brothers leave, you get your name tore up, or even say a decent sister, and she get, she tried with the dude, and he just woo. Then the dude will turn around and say she ain't nothing. You know what I mean? Well, if that was the case, if I ain't nothing, how you stay with me so long? None of what these bamboozlers do with their wordplay holds up to general, simple, elementary critique. You know what I'm saying, me? Not at all. That's why they just bamboozle you with words, try to overtalk you, get loud, deflect, talk about other stuff. But all you want is a simple answer and can't get it. That's a common trait of the bamboozler. I know I'd be all over the place, but this is just about, and I believe it's time for those who are called to strive. Now, of course, when I try something new, there's going to be a certain level of anxiety, uncertainty. You got to just war through that. It's just a feeling. And the only reason that feeling is there is because you don't have the requisite life experience to draw back on. See, certain stuff now isn't nervous because I've had the life experience before, so I know what to do. You know what I'm saying? This is just a new one in the space of resource attainment, a promotion of the vision, let's say. You know what I mean? For the sake of solidifying my family and my loved ones and my homie Lokes, right? Because that's kind of like my thing. You know what I mean? The visionary. I'm more of the giver. I'd rather be the blessing than to get blessed. You know what I'm saying? So when I do get blessed by somebody, I be kind of like, I'm like your grandpa, I kind of don't know what to do. I kind of look stupid. Like, and I appreciate, don't get me wrong, but I want to be in a position to be able to give or to house without financial constraint. Like, oh, I'll help you, but you got to pay me. No, we're not doing that. Appreciate you, appreciate my perspective. And the perspective just comes from a lot of isolation, which used to be very vexing because we're all kind of meant, to have, social interactions. But a lot of my epiphanies have come from just getting with myself, which then gave me a better connection to my higher power, the Most High, which then, and it's a process. So you can't speed the process up, but you can delay it like me. A certain level of acceptance and trust and faith. Because without faith, it's impossible to please the Most High. So even though I don't know what I'm doing, let's say in whatever situation, or I don't know how this going to turn out, I got to have the faith that the God will sustain me whenever and then move me out of it whenever he feel like it. Because he been saving my life all my life. So now all of a sudden, I've been the best version of myself I've ever been, and now he going to leave me? Nah, it don't work like that. But that's what, your own thinking through the adversary's subtle, trying to subtly plant seeds of doubt in your mind. You know what I mean? It'd be easy for me to, man, nobody thought I'd be to this point, myself included, inwardly and outwardly. I could pack it in, but I don't like comfortability or getting, like I like comfortable, like a cool house in the summer. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the comfortability where I stop growing, where I stop trying to find new ways to make my health better with supplements and beetroot juice and what else I got? Turmeric and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I got a thirst for learning outside of the educational system, learning that I can apply to me and then share with somebody else, which makes me valuable no matter where my feet at. Creating your own value that not necessarily tied to fake fiat currency, where, okay, you'll have your enemies and all that, but when people see you, they know what you're hitting for. You don't have to talk because you've been putting in enough work. Your actions and your character speak for itself and go before you. You know what I'm saying? Where your name start getting mentioned in rooms you ain't never been at. But all that happens along the pruning and the refining of the journey. You understand? And this is just stuff I've learned. Now, of course, it's in a book, but it don't, like, it's one thing for me to learn something or know something. It's a difference when it's set in on me. When it's set in on me, it becomes a part of who I am now. And I've noticed my evolution, or I'm constantly evolving my mindset or adapting my, you know what I'm saying? Like, technically, I'm not the same individual I was 3 weeks ago because I'm always learning something from my experiences, whether that be, be a little more empathetic at work. Because here's what I'm dealing with at work. It seems like people don't want help unless you give it to them. It seems like the demographic of people that I deal with are defeated and have no in them to, like, how you get beat down real good, but you still got some ravenous wolf in you. You know what I'm saying? You still got some Doug in you, as you say. It's just wounded for a little bit. What I'm perceiving is everybody's resigned to defeat. So it's hard for me to talk to someone who's defeated and speak victory into them when they really don't, in their soul and heart of hearts, want victory. They just want comfortability. I'm striving to get uncomfortable. Now, if I work my move with these t-shirts and what I do personally in my own small town, it will make me uncomfortable because then you have to hinder it. But I've been hindered. So I'm actually welcoming all that. Not to say that I'm looking for enemies, because that's unwise. But if I do what I'm called to do, I got to understand I'm going to make enemies by default. As of what's today? Saturday. I just had to cut 2 homies off that I've known for years in recovery because they switched up. And it wasn't really so much they switched up. They were wasting my time. I don't like my time wasted. So I'm not mad or wishing anything upon them. We just have to fraction off from this leg of the journey. You know what I'm saying? I got to figure out how to do that. So speaking of that, I have a website to work on when the sun go down. A few things as far as business wise. I'm kind of new to YouTube, but like how to live stream, multicast and all that. I just figured out how to run ads. Setting up, like where you can purchase merchandise and so on and so forth from the page. That's all new to me. And a lot of time, like Frederick Douglass will be proud of me. A lot from what I've got to this point, I've had to teach myself this, which again keeps me engaged. But that's just where I'm at with it. So I will be going full throttle with the next phase of my plan, just in my personal life, because I owe it to me. This ain't for nobody. This ain't because I'm mad at anybody, not like that. When I realized the first bamboozlement was I bamboozled myself, then it's oh man, Toothless Wonder, it's time to treat yourself better. So since I value myself better now, it'd be very hard for me to get bamboozled socially, because I have a relationship with myself. So I notice as you heal, as you become more in tune with yourself and your higher power, you'll start to see everything else clear. So something can look attractive, but disgust me spiritually. Somebody can say something profound, but the individual that said it, I can tell, has nefarious motives and purposes. It's giving me what I like to call a spiritual spidey sense. And a lot of time and I've learned to trust in my spidey sense along this journey, because things aren't always as they seem. Things can seem a certain way, but my spirit be like, nah. Like when I left my job, I could have turned a blind eye, not, called out this, that, and the third or whatever, and continue to get a paycheck. But I'd have lost spiritual ground, because now I'm compromising to get along. That to me, it's like selling out. For me, I'm compromising my belief to get paid and to go along to get along. I can't do that. I couldn't do it if I wanted to, and tried it and couldn't get out the car. I tried to make myself go in this building, but my spirit wouldn't allow my body to move until I called my supervisor to come get the keys. Now my body worked. Oh, what am I going to do now? Am I being irresponsible? Am I being too radical, or whatever the case may be? And I'm sifting through all that, but I can't get around. My spirit knew I did the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at the scriptures, the prophets, so on and so forth, they were routinely in situations in which they did no wrong, but because they were doing what the Most High said, they found themselves in a bad situation. He was just with them in the bad situation and ultimately got them out of it. You know what I mean? Was that Daniel? He wasn't supposed to say, I think he wasn't supposed to say, oh, worship God, right? And then they jammed him up because the king had set the order that he couldn't renege on, and put him in the lion's den, right? For doing the right thing. So he defied the king by honoring God and found himself in the lion's den and didn't get eaten. Was that also Daniel when they gave him the food, but it was sacrificed to idol? He said, man, I can't eat that, so we ain't gonna get nothing, thinking he gonna perish. And would he just eat the vegetables and whatnot? And from my understanding, he actually looked better eating vegetables. You know what I mean? That's where you get the Daniel fast from. Brother CEO King see it coming in all love, bro. I'm 60. Oh, that's what's up with it, baby. That's what's up with it. That's what I'm talking about, man. That encouraged my little heart, where was I at? When I think it was Paul and them, when they told him to stop preaching the gospel, and they did it anyway. Then they put him in jail, and I think they whooped him. You know what I mean? And then they skipped off singing, finding themselves worthy to suffer in the same way as the Messiah. I'll be honest with y'all. I want to suffer for doing right. I want them to, I'm not saying I want it to happen, but it could, where, you said this, so now we got fired. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? For doing what's right. I ain't wrong, no. I can't remember the last time I wronged anybody. And if let's say I react wrong, I just go back and apologize. Because I don't have no ego or image to maintain. You know what I'm saying? But we're in this space, right, where, how would I word it? The slow squeeze, the slow suffocation economically, you'll be put in a position where you'll have to compromise to get your daily bread. So prepare your hearts for this whenever it comes. Or like with COVID time, you had families breaking up because they had ulterior motive or different opinions rather of an injection, and you don't know what's in it. And they won't tell you what's in it, but take it. But if you don't take it, you can't come over here for Thanksgiving that you shouldn't be coming for anyway. I sat down. I've been stopped doing that. You know what I mean? But now we seem like geniuses if you ain't go that route. And if you did go that route, just be mindful the next time they run the same play. We're not ignorant of the adversary's devices. All they do is run the same play with different characters, especially in the Negro community. I don't understand how we keep getting bamboozled again. Every day. That's why I made a video a while back that I almost think our people like being lied to. Our women, I don't know, I'm not a woman, so I don't know, but they know their belief system is flawed because they're not getting the outside of, let's say, like drug abuse. Like if I drink, I feel something instantly, but a couple of days I'm gonna feel bad. So they know what they're doing in real time ain't gonna last a long haul, but they don't care about that. It's just benefiting me right now. But what benefits you right now, instant gratification, normally leads to long-term pain and suffering. And betting on the fact somebody gonna come save you after you all damaged up, that's not a wise bet. So I like to believe they know this, but they're bamboozling themselves at this point instead of just course correcting. And I get it. I've been there. You understand me? When I just want to do whatever it is I want to do, knowing it ain't right, but I resign the right to do it. That's why we can't live our own lives the way we see fit. You know what I'm saying? Because by default, we'll live outside the parameters of the Most High. Rebellion. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I like, certain things or whatever. But my life has become, I guess it's paradoxical, right? My life has become more fulfilling and freeing under the parameters and the fencing of the Most High. Versus in this world where everything's inverted, what they're telling you is freedom actually leads to bondage. I think Paul was talking about being a bondservant of Christ, but he was free to not be, curtailed or bamboozled by the world power at the time. So much so, they had to ultimately unalive him when he said, I ran the race, I'm about to be poured out like a drink offering. But his conscience was clear. I didn't fold, I didn't compromise. All praise to the Messiah who stopped me dead in my tracks on the road to Damascus. Now I understand where Paul's getting, I guess of course it's all inspired by the Most High, but how he's explaining it. Being legalistic and having a certain status in society. He said, at one point, I count my former life as dung. When he had such, money and titles and social status. He said, man, all that was dung to the freedom I know now in Yeshua. What did he say? I've been hungry, thirsty, naked, whipped, shipwrecked. You know what I mean? I asked the Most High to remove a thorn on my side. And he said, nah, I'll just give you the grace to endure it. And then he went and basically evangelized to the Gentiles. He did more with less worldly. That's why whatever it is I'm trying to do, if it's the Most High will, I'll need the anointing to do it. Which I will believe will be towards the demographic of people that he freed me from. Because now what I'm saying in my small town, let's say you get off drugs and you become a counselor, then you start sleeping with all the people that you once was. Now you're preying on the same grouping of people that you emerged out of. I got a problem with it. You know what I mean? Where they do that at? But they do it everywhere if you ain't got no soul. And here's what's crazy, especially in these, rooms of AA, NA, or what do you want to call that? The foundation of it is spiritual principles. Now, they talk spiritual principles, but disregard the spiritual principles when it comes to quickly obtaining whatever it is they desire. So typically, just like in a church house, you see people with status sleeping with new people who don't know as much. When if I got all this status, I should be sleeping with somebody on par with me. You know what I mean? And it's not for the purpose of grooming someone up in the faith. They're taking advantage of you because you don't know as much as them, or because you're esteemed because they got social status. I don't care about none of that. And when you don't care about none of that, they can't influence you no type of way or pump fake and bluff you and whatnot. Well, I'm CEO, man. I got what that mean to me? You on earth like me. Somebody else just gave you a title. But the title that I have internally, the world didn't give it, and the world didn't take it away. You know what I mean? Get a little hot up in here, like Nelly. I just want to come through with a quick live jump. Just keep striving, you know what I'm saying? Just keep finding a way. I know it get nerve-wracking, brain-wracking, and all that. but arise. You know what I'm saying? Even if the striving for the next level or whatever it is you desire or your purpose is, even if it don't happen right here and now, you're still winning because you still ain't gave up. Everybody else in the world is giving up. They're tapping out to the point where I said in the last video, I'm seeing people facial features changing because their souls are leaving them. You know what I mean? Like if I'd have gave up on my child custody fight, it'd have been easy for me to do that. I could have said, oh, they messing with my mind and all that. But had I done that, it'd have messed with my soul, yo. You gave up, yo. Normally, that's a component of faith. Faith is what? The evidence of things not seen. Well, how is it? I don't want to butcher it. The evidence of things not seen. Oh, man, I'm butchering it. But y'all know what I'm trying to say. You're not going to see it. You just have to believe it. And as you read your word, your faith will increase. And on that note, I'm going to holler at y'all. One love, baby. Ooh, oh.